I know only some people who are watching are going to relate to this, but man, it just feels so good to be right about everything all the time.
Backstreet's back, alright. Hey, oh my God, we're back again.
In this short little video essay, we are going to be looking at how one of the biggest, most diverse video games, the only multiplayer only video game to ever win Game of the Year, and the magnum opus of the hero shooter genre, got its groove back. Now, I'm going to say a lot of things in this video that are probably going to upset you. If you're someone who purely just clicked on this video out of pure rage and to leave a comment telling me that I'm a soy boy, boot-licking, undercut, bottom beta bitch boy, and I understand, just hear me out. Look, it's time we have a serious discussion about Overwatch. The fact that the main reason Overwatch still can drum up this much controversy and get as much hate as it does is because it's still here. It'd be so much easier for people who hate on this game to hate on it if it was actually dead like they claim it is. But a decade later, it is still this popular, getting people this angry, and everyone online is giving their opinions about the huge new game-changing update. There's a lot of people saying they might actually make a return to Overwatch after not having played it for so long. You got people actually mad that Doomfist is apparently like dead in the lore now. You obviously got people from the other games saying that this update isn't going to do anything for Overwatch and people should stop being happy about things ever. You got people getting into like genuine kindergarten arguments over what game is harder, Overwatch or Rocket League. Rocket League is the harder game to learn. Overwatch is the harder game to master. I don't see why this is that hard to understand. I honestly haven't seen this many people talk about Overwatch since the release of Overwatch 2, which was for the wrong reasons. And also, in this new update, we're getting 5 new heroes, 2 reworked maps, new competitive rewards, new in-game event with free cosmetic rewards, completely overhauled menu UI, new lore and comic updates monthly, new sub-roles for each character, competitive rank reset, the return of endgame voting cards, except now they're fully animated, and post-match lobby chat like it's Modern Warfare 2 Search and Destroy. And yeah, this is more than what we got with the actual release of Overwatch 2. Crazy. And I'm not gonna lie, I recorded a fair amount of this before the update actually went live, and now that it has gone live, I can say that pretty much everything that I thought was gonna happen is happening. Seeing Overwatch break a new high concurrent player count on Steam is insane given the fact that less than like 5 or 10% of people who play Overwatch play on Steam, and it's outcharting all of these games. Honestly, I never thought I would see the day. And finally, and we all couldn't be more grateful, it's not called Overwatch 2 anymore. It is just back to being Overwatch. I shouldn't need to explain why this is such a good thing. And I was expecting way more people online to snarkily be like, heh, they're celebrating this as a victory, even though this is something that they should have never done in the first place. And I saw some people being like that, but I've actually seen a decent amount more people, a lot more than I thought, being like, oh, this is something that is really cool, and I'm happy that they're getting to do this and reclaim the game's former identity. And it's nice to see that the game's making such positive changes and doing well, even this many years later. Feels like I'm living in the fucking Twilight Zone. Obviously, the shit slinging towards Overwatch will never really stop. I've talked about this in many videos, but the reputation of Overwatch and even Blizzard to a point is completely stained for these people. It's kind of like when you go through your significant other's phone and find that they were like lightly, or maybe even a little less lightly, flirting with someone in their DMs. And you know, you have an argument about it and talk about it, maybe a big fight, and then you guys move past it, but you know you'll never look at them the same ever again. That's essentially what happened with Blizzard and the, let's say, mixed reception of the launch of Overwatch 2 and all the other stuff the company did. Like, you guys know the story. I've talked about it 100 times. I'm not rehashing it here today. We're talking about the new chapter, and I'm gonna be rage baiting a lot of people because I've somehow managed to stay relatively sane supporting this game for the last like 6 or 7 years. So yeah, I'm gonna take my victory lap. Fuck you. So how did Blizzard, Team 4, and Overwatch accomplish this feat? How is Overwatch making this monumental comeback? And what were the steps that Blizzard took to get us here? They just addressed the list of player/customer concerns and complaints and kind of went down the line and just responded to all of them accordingly, and adding, changing, or removing what was suggested by people and what was pleaded for by the fans. This goes in terms of content, microtransactions, balance, even the lore and the story. And Overwatch's insanely fast, fluid, responsive, and dynamic gameplay hasn't really aged in the last 10 years, and if anything, Blizzard has just improved on it and made it feel more fresh. And the game already had a large player base who was loyal to it, and for the people who stayed, Team 4/Blizzard just did their best job to keep those people happy, while doing what they could from time to time to bring new players to the game. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but we do have to give credit to Stadium. Stadium is an entirely new separate game mode from the core game of Overwatch, and it has given the casual players somewhere else to go to escape their average 5v5 ranked sweaty experience. It is basically just more of an arcadey shooter combined with a power scaling system similar to something like League of Legends or Deadlock, and it has actually been something that is very successful and that the devs have consistently updated, sometimes more than the base game. And honestly, I had a lot of fun with Stadium when it first came out, and I'm curious to see what they do with it in the future. So yeah, for all of the reasons I just mentioned, Overwatch is back. It honestly has been for a little bit now. Guess that wasn't a very complicated answer, and I don't really need to spend a lot more time in this video talking about that. Alright, let's make fun of Marvel Rivals now. Okay, so I shouldn't waste any time here. Here's the thing. Marvel Rivals fundamentally is not a competitive video game, and that's okay. Like, I made my video last year, and in April of last year when I made that video, I was getting jumped left and right. I am still getting comments telling me that I'm a shill and that video aged like milk, and people were saying, oh, you're being too negative, it's too early, Overwatch isn't gonna have a comeback, Marvel Rivals is gonna be around forever. And honestly, I was nice to Marvel Rivals in that video. In fact, I was too fucking nice to Marvel Rivals in that video, and today, we are going to rectify that mistake. Cause like, I just don't know how people were surprised with Marvel Rivals player count going down and the balancing path the game was obviously going to take. When I made that video, I kind of, you know, talked about the whole two cakes argument. Wow, we have this game that's cool and this game that's cool. And Overwatch and Marvel Rivals, they can both coexist. But for some reason, Marvel Rivals fans seem to be the ones upset with this notion and who cannot have a conversation about their game without talking about Overwatch. And I said that competition is good because when one game improves and is challenging the other game's gonna have to fight back to prove itself further and stay in the conversation. But like, it's kind of been one-sided recently. With a lot of the negative conversation that has been going on about Rivals recently, you would think that it's in a state like Overwatch where it's been out forever and it's gone through all these huge fundamental earth-shattering changes, but that's just not the case at all. It kind of feels like Overwatch with each season has been trying to improve the game, even if it's just slightly, to improve the user experience and just like actually how the game plays. And Marvel Rivals has like done the opposite. I'm just gonna say it, none of the Marvel Rivals heroes that have been released post-launch have done anything for me, and I'm not alone in that. I liked Johnny Storm when he first came out. I hated Emma Frost because I could already tell she was going to run the meta of the game forever, and she did. And all the other characters didn't really do anything at all for me and have been underwhelming. You've had characters that are kind of interesting and fun like Daredevil and Deadpool, but they continue Marvel Rivals' worst tropes of adding visual clutter, OP abilities that are just spam these buttons and these combos to win. And as long as one of your healers presses their Q that they get in 30 seconds that allows them to literally just do a stream of infinite healing for like 45 seconds at a time, it's all gravy, baby. The gameplay loop of Marvel Rivals got incredibly stale very quickly because it does not address the yearn and the hunger for a competitive game where every decision you make matters, who has the best mechanical skill wins, and what teams strategize and work together the best win. With the Marvel Rivals tournament drama that happened recently, I think it kind of like radicalized me against the game. You can have someone going 0-5 on Black Widow in a $40,000 tournament, but then you can just have someone on Magic who is just really good at the game, and as long as they're getting a consistent stream of heals, they can absolutely decimate an uncoordinated team. You can say this happens in Overwatch, but like at the bronze, silver, and unranked levels of the game, sure. There's not a lot of characters in Marvel Rivals that actually require raw mechanical skill, and if there are ones that are like Hawkeye, where if you just hit your shots and aim really well, you'll win, people complain about that character and say he's overpowered and shouldn't be in the game. And honestly, I agree, because Marvel Rivals plays more like a mobile game or a MOBA than it does a hero shooter. A lot of that's down to it being third person, and a lot of that's down to the fact that it is literally meant to appeal to casual players who left games like Overwatch and Apex Legends, kind of just want to turn their brain off and just spam buttons, play some of their favorite Marvel characters, and just have a good time. And that is okay. I am just tired of people telling me that somehow Overwatch is a worse designed game than Marvel Rivals, when I cannot see how in any universe that is remotely true. Like, what part, like, I do not understand why Marvel Rivals and Overwatch were ever in the same conversation when it came to which game plays better. They have aesthetical differences, they have design differences, they have cultural and company differences, and there are many differences in the gameplay, and they are obvious to point out and spot. And yes, Marvel Rivals is easier for casual players to pick up and instantly learn, but I'm sorry, as someone who's been playing video games for a while, and especially shooter games, this does nothing for me.
Who the problem is? Massive play as well. That Goddess of Death does not give you a health reset the way Ensong Inferno does, so Flying Quest are able to time the Howler ultimate out and still find the elimination. Na'Vi down, one of the duelists, relying on the Galactic Legend. Freedom Charge from Spoxy trying to heal FlyQuest through it, as Na'Vi want to hold on long enough for Jerky to come back with the Daredevil. The Daredevil's out, and now with FlyQuest taking disguise, energy, Galactic Legend, Jerky, he's found Cooper, no sustainability, there's only so much only energy can do.
Now, I know not everyone cares about competitive, but it's still a larger reflection of how the game is actually played, even by casual players. And I literally just went to a random stream of a random comp tournament from 3 months ago, skipped to a random timestamp, and just grabbed some random gameplay. I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the Overwatch tournament, and just look at the difference.
Needs to get around the corner, needs to live. They've got to be so careful. Falcons looking for any edge, any opportunity to break this open. Rally still under toe rung, he's down. Traded for Chio though, Shu with the big nade, now Shu in the sight. Proper finds one, doesn't have coffee, can Bob clean this up? Hanmin, 1% to the primal, he rips it. Jumpman's still healthy, still looking to hold. When Lip is down, the assist from Merit is enough. Hanmin gets the cleanup. Tracer on the cart, cannot back down. But the Bubui is good, Winston. You must stay on this cart, Junman. Getting the double support here, but he's in the bubble. Trying to fight this one out, trying to stay healthy. The sticks are good, Proper finds him. Now it's Joe Rung's turn, stepping up. An impossible scenario. And Falcons close out Toronto, up 2-1 in the series.
Decision making actually matters, and doing bad ults and making mistakes is actually something that feels like it can be punished. But whenever I'm playing Rivals, I really do feel like I am just drooling and mashing buttons on a keyboard. And because I can kind of aim and react quickly and kind of coordinate things with my team, I win every game. I could sit here and break it down to you 100 different ways, but at the end of the day, it's an ass game and it plays like ass. And that's fine. Not every game has to be super mechanically intuitive and have to have a lot of thought put into every single button press, but sometimes you want something that makes you think you want something to engage you. And Marvel Rivals just doesn't do that. And yes, there are easy characters in Overwatch, and yes, there are things you can just spam, but there's a lot of reasons people don't want to learn all the counters and all the tech in Overwatch and just want to play something like Marvel Rivals, which is basically, at the end of the day, a Fortnite Overwatch custom game mode. Everything just feels so slow and floaty and choppy in Marvel Rivals. When you can tell what's going on, the game is honestly ugly to look at anyways. There are abilities and ultimates and things in Overwatch that I feel like are stupid and gimp and shouldn't really be in the game, but at least those you kind of have to time them. You kind of have to think before you do them. Also, it feels like everything has such a short cooldown and long resource meter that it just doesn't fucking matter when you use it. It reminds me of the Drake and Kendrick Lamar feud from a couple of years ago. Yes, it's already been that long. Where I was shocked that there were genuinely people thinking that Drake somehow had anything on Kendrick except for in terms of hits. Like, why were these two guys ever in the same conversation for being at the top of their game? These are just not comparable entities. It is honestly insulting to the medium to compare these two from a gameplay standpoint. But I'm getting sidetracked. I know a lot of people aren't here to hear me talk about the gameplay of both of these games. But to me, that's always been why Overwatch is so good. We can talk about content releases and microtransactions and company PR, and which game has the sexier ladies with the fatter asses, and which company that made the game diddled kids and which one didn't diddle kids. But at the end of the day, Overwatch just plays so fucking good. The only people I know who suck at Overwatch suck at pretty much every game they touch. Overwatch is scary to a lot of people because there's a lot to learn. It feels like sometimes you just can't play the hero you want to play and you have to swap your team's comp around. But like, what are we, fucking 6 years old? And a lot of people aren't gonna like this, but Overwatch is probably the most balanced competitive game I've ever played. You have people who are Overwatch diehards who constantly bitch about the balance of the game, but if they ever go play something like Valorant or Apex or Rivals, they will start crying and throwing up because of how poorly balanced those games are. There is not a single character in like the last like 2 years of Overwatch that has truly actually been unpickable or bad in every scenario. If you are good enough at a certain hero in Overwatch and your team works with you, you can make any composition work on basically any map or any point if you try hard enough. Unless you're literally talking about professional play for money, this is the case with Overwatch. But with the games that I previously mentioned, there are some characters that are just terrible. You are objectively putting yourself at at a disadvantage no matter how well you're doing on that character if you pick them and the other team has better heroes or agents or fucking legends. Every hero in Overwatch has some sort of form of counter or has a map or point they're bad on, except for Kiriko. Whatever. In Marvel Rivals, there are some characters in some scenarios where you are just throwing cake batter at a brick wall. It doesn't matter what you do. And I'm sorry, it is just nice to have a game that is only like a crisp 65, maybe after this update it'll be larger gigabytes, where Marvel Rivals is the size of a Call of Duty game now, with less content than a Call of Duty game somehow. The only people I know who still play Rivals are the most casual gamers I know, and that's fine. That's its niche, and it should stay there. Meanwhile, you have a game like Deadlock that has also come along recently, and has been really refreshing to see Valve finally step back into the market and show them, hey, we kind of invented this shit, motherfucker.
Competition is good and it needs to continue. And I genuinely mean this from the bottom of my heart for all of the people who love Marvel Rivals. I hope they fix a lot of the balancing issues and content splurge releases that they have been doing and make the game better for you, the fans. I'm serious. I do want to clarify really quick though.
Deadlock isn't going to kill Overwatch, because ultimately they're not comparable games really. I don't understand why people think that you can only play one game nowadays. Me personally, I try to play as many video games as I can because there are so many good ones. And if you truly love and appreciate art and the medium, go and actually play more video games, even ones you've heard that you may not like, because you'll probably discover that there's so many things you've been missing out on.
Also, I need to say, I genuinely cannot imagine
what it has been like to be Team 4, the Overwatch team, these past years. The mental, uncrackable diamond fortitude that they have to have had to continue working on this game with the onslaught of hate and ridicule they have gotten is insane to me. Imagine being Aaron Keller, the face of Overwatch nowadays. Imagine having to have done that interview where they canceled the PvE and the entire internet, not just people who played Overwatch, the entire internet made fun of them and called Overwatch a failure and said that the devs were soulless, money-grubbing pieces of shit. Could you imagine having him done that and then going home to like your family and eating dinner and just not thinking about it, and then having to go to work and work on that same game the next day? I don't know how they did it. And they've kind of just like Hercules'd it. They looked at the broken pieces and fallen ash of Overwatch and said, how can we fix this? They brought back a lot of features that, yes, should have never been discontinued anyways, and they implemented them in a way that made sense for the free-to-play structure of the game. They saw that there were a lot of metas where characters kind of just lived forever and nothing died, and they were like, damn, we were kind of having that problem in Overwatch 1-2 with the whole triple shield thing. Let's just stop doing that. They added perks, which added a nice flow of progression in the match, each character kind of getting progressively stronger and new abilities that you had to adapt to in real time, and made the game more dynamic and increased skill ceilings for low skill ceiling characters. And also, a lot of the collab events that are actually really cool, skins that look really good, probably help too. Their main focus has been on making the actual PvP aspect of Overwatch, the thing that blew it up in the first place, as good as possible. And at the end of the day, at least at the higher echelon of the game and when everyone is trying, the game that works together best as a team is always the one that wins. Isn't that so nice? And I've seen a lot of people recently say, there is nothing that could ever make me reinstall Overwatch again. But, you know, don't block your own path to happiness. And then for some reason, you still have Team Fortress 2 fans who, by the way, after 10 years of Team Fortress 2 being out, it got literally its final update it ever got. And then the game continued to be plagued with bots and balancing issues and just literally no content at all.
Don't get me wrong, I love Team Fortress 2. It's one of my favorite games ever made, and Overwatch and Marvel Rivals and so many other games wouldn't exist without it. I'm just saying their fans act very bold when 10 years into Overwatch's life, it's having a massive resurgence, where 10 years into Team Fortress 2's life, it was getting ready to die.
And before anyone calls me a shill again, I didn't get paid for this. I'm just bouncing on it for the love of the game, baby. Go ahead, try the new Overwatch season. You might just like it. And wouldn't that just be so awful if you had fun? If you're still here, genuinely let me know if you started playing Overwatch again recently. Why did you start playing it again? And what is the main reason you're excited for this new season? I know most people are going to say it's the new heroes, it's the new cosmetics and everything. They just are trying the game again because they see that Blizzard and Team 4 are finally, you know, clean their act up. But I kind of want to see if anyone has like a weird reason. I always like hearing the unexpected things. My next video will feature Overwatch. It is a long video talking about kind of some things I mentioned in this video, with how it feels like a lot of video games are kind of scared to try anymore. And I love video games that can kind of make you feel angry, disgusting, paranoid, sad, confused, and just why I feel like we need more disgusting video games. If you want a long form video essay that is like much more highly edited and researched than this one, please subscribe for that. Otherwise, if you just want to see me make Overwatch content exclusively, don't subscribe, it hurts my algorithm. But thank you for watching. Go ahead and check my TikTok out. I make really stupid videos on there that for some reason go semi-viral. I've been Big Citrus, and have a damn good one.